are you doing in my swamp?
Hello everybody, this is Overpoint. I'm going to be doing my ranking for all 8 movies in Disney's Dark Age. These are the movies from 1970 to 1988 that were released after the death of Walt Disney himself, and when the studio was really struggling to keep itself open and going and stuff before The Little Mermaid came out and started the Renaissance era. There's 8 of these movies, and this is one of those periods in Disney where I think that the movies are still pretty good. They're not quite as good as the Golden and Silver eras or the Renaissance, but it's still a pretty decent era. It still has a few good classics in here and everything. So, really, there's only one or two of them that I'm not real crazy for. The rest of them I think are pretty good movies. So. But yeah, so I'm going to go ahead and get started. Coming in at number 8 is The Great Mouse Detective. This is one of the few Disney movies that I did not grow up with. I never really watched it growing up. I saw part of it as a kid, never could get into it and stuff, and so it's never been one of my favorite movies. I love Ratigan, the villain of the movie, voiced by Vincent Price. I think he's great and everything, and I think Basil is a nice and charming character, but I just am not really that into the story, and I'm not really a big fan of Sherlock Holmes either, and this is inspired a lot by Sherlock Holmes and everything. I'm just not a super big fan of it. I think it's okay. I know a lot of people say this is one of Disney's most underrated movies because of the time it came out in, and I guess you could argue that and everything, and for people who grew up with it, I'm sure it is and everything, but since I don't have much love or attachment to it, it's always been one that I thought is just an okay movie, and it's one of the ones that I've never been big on and everything, and it's actually one of my least favorite Disney movies, if you want me to be completely honest. So, The Great Mouse Detective is number 8, and number 7 is The Black Cauldron. Now, this is one that I did watch a lot as a kid. My brother was a huge, massive fan of this movie, and I have liked it a lot when I first saw it and everything, but after about watching it about 100 times, I got really tired of it as a kid, and I revisited it a few times as an adult, and it's okay. It's got a lot of good moments in here, and the Horned King is a really awesome villain. I like the animation here is pretty good. It's dark and stuff. I wish they would have gone a little bit darker like they had originally planned, and the movie could have been rated PG-13, but everything, because this movie goes pretty dark, and they could have gone a little bit darker with it, and I think this is one of the ones that has a really good enough story and everything. There's enough lore and stuff with this, and it's based on a book series, so they could easily turn this into a live-action franchise and stuff. I don't know why Disney hasn't done it yet. I think it's because this is the one of their biggest flops ever until recent years, and everything. It's one of their biggest flops. It almost got the studio shut down, so Disney tries to ignore this movie quite a bit and everything. It took them years to even release it on DVD or on VHS and everything, and it's only had a few home media releases since then, and it's just not one that a lot of people really love and everything. And I don't fully get why it doesn't, because I mean it has a lot of cool stuff and elements in it, but at the same time I do get it because it's a dark and dreary movie with a little bit of tonal issues and stuff. But this movie has a lot of potential for a live action remake. It's one of the ones that I do actually think should get one and everything, and it's just like I said, it's not one of my most favorite Disney movies. Never has been, but it's okay. It has a lot of tonal issues too. If they would have stuck with the dark storytelling and left out some of the comedic stuff in it, everything, I think it could have worked a little bit better. But this movie is okay. So, the Black Cauldron is number 7, and number 6 is The Aristocats. Now, this movie is pretty good, and everything. I'll say that the villain is really jacked up, wanting to kill a bunch of cats and stuff so he can inherit money and everything. He's a pretty greedy and underrated villain, actually. I think that he doesn't get as much credit and stuff, and everything, but his motivations are kind of kind of understandable too. Like if you're expecting to get inheritance from someone and they give it to the cats instead, I could get why he would be upset. But killing the cats and stuff, I don't think was the right way to go about it. But it's a fun movie. O'Malley the Alley Cat is a really likable character. He's voiced by Phil Harris, who does the voice of Baloo in The Jungle Book and Little John and Robin Hood. And every time they put him in a Disney movie, I always enjoyed hearing his voice and stuff. And Eva Garber, who does the voice of Duchess, is really good too, and it has some good music in here. That Everybody Wants to Be a Cat is the main song, of course, but it's got a good enough story and animation and likable characters. It's not one of Disney's most memorable movies, and not one of my most favorites either, but it's one that I did watch a little bit as a kid, but I like more now as an adult and everything. So the Aristocats is number 6, and number 5 is Robin Hood. Now this is a really fun movie. It's one that I've always really liked, and pretty much from this one up are all movies that I think are really good bangers and everything. And this movie has a lot of really fun moments, great music, and really lovable characters and everything. Robin Hood is just a really likable dude and everything. He has a really charming characteristics, and he's just very likable. And then you got Little John, who is an awesome sidekick. Maid Marian is great, and King Little John, King, oh shoot, what is his name? Prince John is a really great villain and everything. I love him, and I love how he goes, "Mommy." It just cracks me up every time I watch it and everything. He's a really great villain. Hiss is a pretty cool villain sidekick, and this movie is pretty underrated and stuff. I will say the animation isn't the best. It's kind of got a scratchy animation. You could tell this is a lower budget Disney movie, but I think that they did a really great job with what they had, and it's still a really good movie and one of the best versions of Robin Hood to me. One of my favorite personal favorite versions and everything. So this movie is pretty good. So Robin Hood is number 5, and number 4 is Oliver and Company. And this movie is one of the ones that I do feel is a little underrated. It's got really great animation, wonderful voice cast, led by Billy Joel, who does the voice of Dodger, who is just absolutely great in this movie. I love the song "Why Should I Worry." Just that song is such a banger. But there's a lot of really great moments in this movie. The whole chase scene at the end is fun, and Oliver is a really lovable lead character, and the little girl he meets is great. And this movie doesn't get the love it deserves and everything. I've always really liked this one. It's a really clever take on the Oliver Twist story and everything with dogs and cats and stuff in a New York setting. I thought it was just really well done and everything, and it's one that I used to watch all the time as a kid, and I still love it to this day. I think it's a really, really fantastic movie and everything. So Oliver and Company is number 4, and number 3 is The Rescuers. Now my top 3 are all pretty much almost neck and neck with each other because I love all 3 of my top 3, but this one is one that I used to watch all the time as a kid. I remember checking it out at the library, watching it once, and falling in love with it, and I would kept it checked out from the library as much as I could. I would renew it as much as I could, and then I'd turn it in, and after they put it back in the system and stuff, I would check it right back out and everything, because I just absolutely love The Rescuers. It is such a great movie. It's got a really great cast. Penny is a really lovable character and everything, and you want to see her get saved by these mice, and the mice are really lovable, good-hearted characters and everything. Bernard and Bianca are just one of the best Disney couples and everything, and I love them and everything, and I just love this movie. I think it's a really, really great movie. Gorgeous animation, awesome story, and really lovable characters. The villain, Medusa, is really great, although she's kind of like Cruella de Vil 2.0 and everything. She was originally supposed to be Cruella de Vil and everything. I like to think in my head that somehow these two characters are related. But I love The Rescuers. I think it's a really, really great movie and everything, and it's one that also doesn't get talked about near as much, and when it does, it's because there's a little frame in it that where you see a girl's boobs when they're flying in the to go save Penny and stuff when they first take off flight and everything, but you have to pause it and everything on certain video copies and everything. It got recalled in the 90s, and that's really the main thing this movie is remembered for, which is sad because it's a really great movie and everything. I think that it's one that is definitely worth checking out and stuff. And if you like The Rescuers Down Under, if you've seen it because you like the Renaissance era, this one is definitely one that should be seen too, because it's not only the original movie, that one, it's a really great one, and personally, I think it's better and everything. The animation may not be as slick as it was in the sequel, but it's still a great movie, a great story, great characters, great music, and just an all-in-all great time. So, The Rescuers is number 3, and number 2 is The Many Adventures of Winnie the Pooh. Now, this one almost came in at number 1 and everything, but there is one that I definitely would say I like just a teeny bit more. But The Many Adventures of Winnie the Pooh is an absolute classic. I adore Disney's Winnie the Pooh stories. I've loved all of them. I grew up watching the Tigger movie and Piglet and stuff. They kind of brought Winnie the Pooh back a lot during my childhood in the late 90s and early 2000s. They did a lot with Winnie the Pooh and stuff, and everything. And they also had the show in the late 80s and early 90s. So I grew up on Disney's Winnie the Pooh stuff, and this movie is just one of my absolute favorites. I love this movie. The story is great. The characters are so lovable, and you can't help but just have a good time with these movies. It's such innocent fun and everything. Pooh Bear is just an absolute lovable character. Tigger is great too. I love Piglet, and the only character I don't really like is Rabbit. I've never really liked him, although I relate to him now and everything. He kind of he doesn't like Tigger and stuff. As an adult, I could totally understand why he wouldn't like Tigger and everything. But as a kid, I always thought he was mean to him and everything because Tigger's fun-loving and stuff. And I kind of still like Tigger a lot too, though. And the segments are a lot of fun, especially the Blustery Day one. That's my favorite one because I had that one as its own separate little short, Winnie the Pooh and the Blustery Day and everything. But you put all 3 of these shorts together and it makes a really good movie and everything. Winnie the Pooh and the Honey Tree is great too, and when you get stuck in Rabbit's Hole, which sounds so awful, is classic. One of the most classic, awesome Disney moments of all time when they're trying to get him out of the hole and everything because he's stuck in Rabbit's like painting his butt and everything. It's just really funny stuff and everything. And this movie has a lot of heart and humor and stuff to it, and it's just a really good time with great voice acting by Starling Holloway, and all of the voice cast in here are great, and it's a really great time. So, The Many Adventures of Winnie the Pooh is number 2, and my number 1 favorite movie from Disney's Dark Age is The Fox and the Hound. This movie is the one that I credit with being the movie that made me a Disney fan. This was my first Disney movie that I was ever obsessed with, and I still really love this one today. It'll be pretty high on my ranking of favorite Disney movies. It's one that, it's just, when I think of childhood movies from that I watched a lot during my childhood and everything, this is one that always comes to mind. It was, like I said, the first Disney movie that I ever really loved and everything. Todd and Copper are just really lovable characters. I became obsessed with foxes and hound dogs and stuff because of this movie when I was a kid. Even though I never had a hound dog and stuff, I always, if I ever was able to see one or I was around someone that had one, I always loved it. And I even had a dog named Copper, named after the character from this, and a cat named Todd and everything, although that cat did not live very long. It was a little kitten and everything. Didn't live very long, and it was the closest I could get to a fox, I guess. But I love this movie, and the animation is great, the story is beautiful and heartbreaking and tons of fun, and I just absolutely love this movie. So The Fox and the Hound is easily my favorite movie from Disney's Dark Age and everything. So anyway, let me know in the comments what your favorite movies of the Dark Age are, and next week I'll be doing the Renaissance era, which I know a lot of y'all are probably excited for. I'm excited to talk about the Renaissance era because it's one of the most popular eras of Disney, if not the most popular one. And everything, especially within my generation, because it's the one we grew up in. So I'm really excited to talk about those movies next week. But I really love most of the movies from this time period too. There's a lot of, I like Disney just throughout the whole generations and stuff, but I feel like the Dark Age was not near as bad as some people say. Like, the movies themselves weren't as bad. They're not quite on par with some of the Silver Age and Golden Era or the Renaissance era, but they have some really great ones. Like, most of these movies are pretty good, and I still feel like they're classics in and of themselves, even if they didn't perform very well at the box office or get a lot of acknowledgement and stuff. So, anyway, let me know in the comments what your favorite movie from this era is, and I hope you enjoyed this video, and have a good day, everybody.